You're listening to the Whole Hog Sports Podcast. And now, here's your host, Matt Jones.
On today's show, Doug Case, the new Arkansas men's track and field coach, will join us, talk about his promotion to that position with Chris Bucknam retiring this week. We'll also have Brad Dunn in studio. He'll talk to us about his memories of Dave England, who passed away this week at the age of 69, the longtime Arkansas athletic trainer. Brad will also talk with us about Razorback basketball as Arkansas gets ready to play 22nd-ranked Michigan State on Saturday night. We want to tell you about our friends at Bentonville Glass. They've been serving their community since 1971. They are committed, professional, and versatile. If you're looking for a quality leader in Northwest Arkansas or looking for skilled craftsmanship, you look no further than Bentonville Glass for all your glass market needs with the highest quality products. You can come by and see them at 507 South Main in Bentonville or online at bentonvilleglass.com. Doug Case, the new Razorback track coach, coming up, but first a word from Kendall King.
Kendall King, we're proud of over 4 decades of design. We're continuing the legacy of great creative design by combining our brands of Kendall King, Soapbox, and Shopcart. Together, these brands represent a new focus in marketing design with individual attention to specific areas. Through our design expertise supported by a team of talented professionals, we showcase our best. We are Kendall King, we are Soapbox, we are Shopcart, we are design.
Think about this. Since 1978, the Arkansas men's track and field team has only had 2 coaches, and yesterday they hired their third. Doug Case is going to take over at the start of the indoor season in January. Going to replace Chris Bucknam, who's retiring after 17-plus years here in Fayetteville. Chris obviously replaced John McDonald. Like, Doug, as you step into these shoes, I mean, these are big shoes you're stepping into, but it feels like the type of job that you don't shy away from. This is something you feel like you're prepared for.
I mean, I've been coaching track and field for 35 years. So I've been a head coach before. It was quite a while ago, but I feel like the experience I've earned here at Arkansas really it makes me ready to step in and do this right now. I feel comfortable with it. I feel comfortable with our program, our team, the people around us, and everything in Arkansas. So I'm definitely ready to go.
I want to talk to you about the vision that you have for the program, but first I want to talk to you about Chris Bucknam. You got real choked up talking about him yesterday. Yeah. And you told me that he's somebody that you met when you were 18 years old. It's at Marshalltown, Iowa, I think is your hometown, right? And he came to sign you to run for him at Northern Iowa when he was an assistant coach there. Is there a bigger mentor in your life than Chris Bucknam?
No, I mean, it's like I said, I've known the guy since I was 18 years old, and we've coached together 25 years. It's been a great experience, and I think you learn leadership a little bit, and through the years, it's been great leadership the whole time from Coach Bucknam, and I think that helps me be a better coach as well, and that's where we are. So it's been great.
You guys have had a lot of success here. 34 SEC championships across cross-country, indoor and outdoor, 2 national championships indoor. I like to hear Chris talk about all the podium finishes because he says he'd like to throw himself off of a cliff because of all the second, third, fourth place finishes he's had. How would you describe his tenure here at Arkansas?
Well, it's been an unbelievable 17 years, and we're stats guys, man. We're track guys, right? So numbers really mean something to us. And when you look at those stats and the accumulations of winning, not only SEC, but NCAA, and it's so difficult to win that NCAA meet, and things have to go exactly right for you that day. And which is strange about it. And I always say every kid's a quarterback, on the track team, because you can't afford to lose one. We lost the outdoor meet by 1 point last year. You can't afford to lose one guy in one event. It really costs you. And so, I've said for years that every student athlete that's qualified for a national meet that can score a point is the quarterback on that team. But, going back to the stats, I mean, it's been an unbelievable run. Those second place finishes, man, those are hard, because you can go back and you can literally find 10 things that you could have changed, or things could have changed for you, and it would have made a different outcome. And I'm sure that it's like that in all sport and all athletics, but we're so objective about what we do, and we know the number of points that each individual was going to score in an event. So you can you can go back and you can relive it 1,000 times. And that's kind of what you do when you get second. You're like, man, if we'd have just had this or that or that, and it really could, it shapes how you think about it.
You think about that razor thin margin. You mentioned the outdoor meet earlier this year. You lose by 1 point. You finish third in the
Yeah.
in the championship meet, and it just kind of goes to show you just how just I mean, like I said, razor thin it is between some of these teams. You guys knew what you're stepping into here at Arkansas and what John McDonnell had done. 42 national championships, 84 conference championships. I hear people ask the question sometimes like, why is Arkansas not winning national championships like they used to? And, what I always try to convey to them is the sport has really changed, and you're right there in the middle of it. But you've got specialization now, and I'll let you kind of explain what specialization is, but just how much has this sport changed maybe since you've been as a coach, but really even here in the last 10 years or so, it seems like it's a lot different.
It's much different, and it's changed again here recently. And if what you're talking about specialization is, you're talking about teams who have decided to focus on one event area, for example. Maybe it is distance running, maybe it's sprinting, whatever it may be. And we have elected basically to have the full team concept. And if you look at our program through the years, we've had everything from jumps and distance and sprints and hurdles and pole vaulters. We've had national champs in so many different events. It's really an amazing feat when I look back and see all the event champions we've had. We had the Olympic gold medalists in the discus, here. And you just go, okay. But that's part of the allure. That's part of the draw of Arkansas. If you come to Arkansas, we're going to give you an opportunity to be on a national championship team, an SEC championship, national championship team. And we've always felt that well-rounded program where you don't just emphasize on one area. And if something goes wrong in that area, it's done for you. So we've always tried to have a well-rounded team. And we've also operated under the concept that we don't separate scholarships per event and say we're going to put 6 scholarships in the sprints. We just don't do that. It's really about finding the best individual athlete and it doesn't matter what event they're in. And we're going to recruit that person, and we're going to try and build a team off of that. And really it's made us well-rounded the way I look at it, just because you've got a great bunch of coaches and we're all recruiting our individual areas. And, if you're a good recruiter, you're going to get good recruits. So, we've had a very diverse team as far as events and scoring events at the national meet, and it's been a really good run.
Well, you look at some of the teams that have been really successful in the last 10 years in the sports that you coach. In cross country, you got Northern Arizona and BYU. We would call those distance factories, I think. Florida, they're real heavy into sprints and jumps. It feels like what you're saying, Doug, is that Arkansas, you kind of take the path less traveled, but still hold yourself to the same championship standards that the program's always had.
We do. And, Coach Bucknam and I came here together, and we made that determination when we got here that we're going to stay by the standards Coach McDonnell started, and it was really about winning everything. And I think Coach Bucknam talked about that a little bit yesterday, that maybe that was the right approach. Maybe it wasn't, but that was kind of where we were, when we got here. The only successful thing when we got here was to win everything. And we were fools enough to think we could do it, but that's what we looked at. That was our standard. And we went at it as hard as we could, and we gave it a good run. And many times we came out on top.
What was yesterday like for you?
It was a crazy day. It was fun, but it was stressful. It was the team didn't know. And, 30 minutes before we went into that press conference, we had told the team what was going on, and we had cheers and fun and yelling and all that stuff. So it was a crazy day, it was interesting. It was emotional, but it was a great day. Enjoyed it.
We see this a lot of times with programs that win. The transition from a head coach to the next head coach isn't always you go out and you hire a sitting head coach somewhere else. That the transition is you just promote from within. Why do you think that is it's proven to be successful, it feels like, in a lot of places. Why do you think that has been successful? And why do you think, I'm sure that was one of your pitches to Hunter Yurachek, that you could make that a successful transition here too?
Well, that was his pitch to me. I want
Was
this
it?
to be an easy transition. That's one of the very first things he said to me. And I think a person, I've been here, like I said, this is my 18th year. I know the people, I know the situation, I know where to go, what to do, the people to contact if we need help with certain things. I know the recruiting, I know all those things that have gone on here, and to me, it's going to be pretty close to business as usual. We're going to have a little bit of different staff, but at the same token, I think we've kept the nucleus here, and we're gonna do almost the same thing we did. We're gonna try and stay right on the lines of what we were doing when Coach Bucknam was here, and I hope everything just almost stays the same. Honestly.
Hunter Yurchek at the press conference yesterday said Doug was not given the position. He earned it, gave several reasons why you earned it, Doug. And he said, and then he earned it because I made him interview for the job. He didn't take the interview for granted. He said you came unbelievably prepared with an incredible vision for the future of the track program. What was the vision that you sold during the interview?
Well, a lot of it was what I said. We're not gonna blow this thing up. There's no reason to. It's a winning program. It's on top where it currently stands, and I had outlined all the things we've done and all the things that I see we can do. And I told him, I go, it's definitely not an overhaul. It's not needed, and we're gonna get in this thing, and we're gonna keep it going the way we've been going. And we're gonna hire good people, and we're gonna have a well-rounded team, and we're gonna continue to win championships.
I want to ask you, you told me this story yesterday. I think you're fine telling it in public. The story of when Chris Bucknam came to recruit you or sign you, right?
Yeah, yeah. So back in the day, the coach could come to the athlete's home, and they could bring the national letter of intent, and they could sign them there on the spot. So he had recruited me, and I had agreed to sign. And so on a Sunday afternoon, Coach Buck travels down to my hometown, which is an hour or so away from the university, and I'm not there when he gets there. It's about noon, I think, and my mom and dad are there, and he sits in the living room with my mom and dad, and I don't show up for an hour, and they're talking, and I don't show up for 2 hours, and he said he drank about 9 glasses of lemonade, while he was there. So. And if you know my dad, he wouldn't say 3 words in 4 hours. So it was probably a pretty tough conversation. And my mom had said at one point, Coach, if you want to leave, that's fine. We can do this again. And he was stubborn and said, I'm not leaving until I sign this guy, So he waited, and about 4 hours later, I show up, and I'm astonished. I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. And he said he signed me in about 3 minutes and got out the door and went for home. So, but it was interesting. There are no cell phones or anything, so nobody could get a hold of me. And I remember I was actually out playing basketball. I knew exactly what I was doing. So,
You've been a head coach before. You were at Drake in the late '90s. What have you learned in all the years that you've been an assistant for Chris that maybe you didn't know at that time? And I wonder if you can kind of take yourself back to being in that seat all those years ago. John McDonald's got Arkansas rolling at that point in time. I mean, could you have ever dreamed that you'd be in this position you're in now?
never would have dreamed it. And being a track coach, you obviously knew Arkansas, and you knew what was going on down here, and how successful the program was. And I never would have thought I'd ended up at Arkansas. And the funny thing is, I coached at Arkansas State, was my very first job ever. Jay Flanagan hired me over there in 1989, directly out of grad school. And, I sat in the track office there with Coach Bucknam and Coach Bill Lawson, who was one of the coaches when I was there. And they're telling me, you're not going to get that job. You're fresh out of grad school, and it's probably not going to happen. And I remember walking out the door, and I said, I'm going to get that job. And I went down and interviewed, and Coach Flanagan gave me that job and got me started. So, so I know a lot about Arkansas track and field. I know the history. I lived in the state during the heyday when, John was really rolling. And, so I do know about it. And I think, through the years, when I was a head coach at Drake, I was young. I was figuring things out, dealing a lot with the Drake relays at the time, trying to be like a relays director person and a coach. And it was difficult. And it honestly wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a relays director. I wanted to be a track coach. And so when, Coach Bucknam called me, I don't know what year it was, it would have been 99, I guess, and asked me if I wanted to come over to Northern Iowa and coach with him. It was a definite yes. And been coaching with him for 25 years since.
You got a former athlete, Jordan Anthony, who's a Bowerman finalist. For those who don't know, the Bowerman is kind of like the Heisman Trophy for track and field, the best individual track and field athlete every year. This is going to be given out down in the Dallas area next month at the coaches convention. What are his chances to win it, Doug? And what was it like coaching him this last year and all the success that he had?
Well, he's obviously, in my mind, in my opinion, he was the best collegiate track and field athlete in the country last year. And if you look through what he did starting indoors, he won the SEC 60-meter dash, he won the NCAA 60-meter dash, he won the SEC outdoor 100 and 200, he won the NCAA 100, and was fourth in the 200 at NCAA. So he also ran the second fastest time in NCAA history in the 100-meter dash. And all conditions, there was a little bit of wind date on it. But, the kid went out and ran 9.75 in 100 meters, which is just crazy, So I don't see – I didn't see another athlete last year that exceeded that. That was an incredible year, an incredible season. And I look at the guy, didn't even have a fall track because he came right off of football, right? And so he didn't have any training up until December or January is when we really started things going. And, I honestly took it very slow with him, just tried to get him in the right shape at the right time. And, he responded well and he worked hard and he was really dedicated to track and field. And he had a great year. It was one of the best years I've ever seen. And I hope the kid, I really hope Jordan wins that award. The Bowerman would be awesome for him to win.
Explain to people what that's like for these football players who come over and they run track. Because I think some people think, hey, you're fast and you just show up and you run and that's how it is. But yeah, you really think about there haven't been a whole lot of football players. I can think of Trendon Holiday at LSU, probably Devin Achane at Texas A&M. Auburn had, Schwartz a few years ago, who was pretty good at both. But there just haven't been a whole lot of those. I mean, there's a real craft that has to be honed for these football players to come over and do more than just run to really excel in their events.
Yeah, it's not walk out there and you're fast. It's not like that. The training process for us is months long, and that's why I said Jordan didn't have the time that we would really prefer for him to be ready to have an entire indoor and outdoor track season. And it starts at such a low level. It's pretty amazing how we start them. We run 30 times 100 meters at the beginning of the year, and it's really slow. They're running 15, 14, 13 second hundreds. And there's very short rest, and we're just getting there. Everything's strong, muscle strong, tendon strong, ligament strong. And the process as we go, it gets shorter and faster and shorter and faster until you're getting towards a peak at the end. And then, you're hitting the speed stuff and maybe you're only doing 2 reps of something at the end of the year. So, just to not have that total base is an incredible thing. And I give credit to Jordan for being able to fight through, an indoor and outdoor season without any of that real base work. He just missed the whole thing.
Last thing for you, Doug. You got the NCAA indoors here in Fayetteville at the end of your first season coming up here in about 3-4 months. What's it going to be like hosting indoors again? And you seem to think you've got a team that could really compete this year.
I don't know how many times we've hosted since I've been here. It feels like 6 or 7 times maybe we've hosted a national meet. So, we do a great job of hosting meets. We host more meets than any school in the country year in and year out. And, we know how to do this. Our administration is great at it. Should be the meet should be run very well. Expect that to happen. As far as our team, like I said earlier, man, we're always in it. The fun of this sport is knowing you're in it, and it gives you that extra drive if you think you got a chance. And that's what I always talked about. The beauty of Arkansas is you're going to be in it. Our team is going to be in that hunt, and it happens year in and year out. You don't win them all, but it's sure fun to be in the fight,
Well, Well, Doug, good luck to you. Congratulations on getting the job, and looking forward to seeing you here in a couple of months over at the track.
Thanks, Matt. Much appreciated.
I appreciate it. Doug Case, the new head coach of Arkansas men's track and field. When we come back, Brad Dunn will join me here in studio. We'll talk about Dave England's legacy at the University of Arkansas. First, a word from Kendall King.
Kendall King, we're proud of over 4 decades of design. We're continuing the legacy of great creative design by combining our brands of Kendall King, Soapbox, and Shopcart. Together, these brands represent a new focus in marketing design with individual attention to specific areas. Through our design expertise supported by a team of talented professionals, we showcase our best. We are Kendall King, we are Soapbox, we are Shopcart, we are design.
It's a sad week here in Fayetteville. Dave England, who really just one of the most integral people at the University of Arkansas athletics-wise in the last 40, 50 years, passed away a couple of days ago. This is someone who he has his fingerprints on football, baseball at the U of A, Norm DeBryan's great teams, Frank Broyles, Lou Holtz. But really, he made his name for what he did with the Razorback basketball program, worked for Eddie Sutton, Nolan Richardson, Stan Heath, John Pelfrey, and Mike Anderson before retiring about 6 years ago. We got Brad Dunn here in studio now. Brad was former assistant coach at Arkansas from 1991 to 2002, wearing his national championship ring, as he does every single day, part of that 94 team. You knew Dave as well as just about anybody professionally.
I sure did.
What's number one? I mean, just kind of explain to people what his presence with basketball was, because it goes way beyond just being the guy that tapes up the ankles and makes sure that you're okay.
He was most certainly good at all the, getting the guys rehabbed and doing all that. But he had a great rapport with the players and with the coaches. And a lot of times in the training room, a player will let their hair down a little bit in terms of, man, coach wants me to do this and he wants me to do that. And, he'd get a feel for where a kid's head is. And when he thought it was appropriate and it could help the kid, he would relay that on to the coaches. And, that's a big plus. And that's a veteran trainer because that's a fine line. You don't want to violate a kid's trust by letting his hair down and talking to you, but at the same time, you want to help the kid. He was always about helping the kid.
I was talking to Scotty Thurman yesterday, and Scotty said that he also was able to maybe teach the players what like maybe they didn't understand where you all were coming from as a coaching staff, and so it was a two-way street there in that training room.
Oh, very true. I mean, it's because back then you could talk to players a lot different. You could coach them a lot tougher than you can now. I had all those players out to my house, and they were good kids, and you could be rough on them as long as they knew you cared about them. Well, I had that with Dave England. Dave England cared about the players. He legitimately did, and he was going to keep them on the court healthy and kind of do a little of the counseling thing as need be. But my gosh, what a great guy. What a tragedy.
Scotty gave me a great story yesterday. He said that whenever he was back here as an assistant coach, Delvon Johnson, big guy that they had on one of those teams, or a couple of those teams, I think he'd sprained his ankle in a game. Yeah. And there was a quick turnaround, like maybe from a Saturday to a Tuesday, and I think there might have been some travel that was involved in there. And Delvon was not expected to play in the second half of that turnaround. And Scotty said that Dave England slept in the training room with Delvon and set an alarm for like every 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah. He'd cat nap, then he'd wake up, treat him, go back to sleep for another 30, 45 minutes, get up and do it again. And this continued all night. And he said, I always had a lot of respect for Dave. He said, but whenever I saw that, it just took it to another level.
Yeah, I mean, you ice for 20 minutes and then you do ice massage, or you elevate for 40 minutes and do that all night long. You'll get a kid rehabbed a whole lot quicker. Not very many people have that commitment to their job. You were not going to outwork Dave England.
Well, you said that if he had a practice that started at 6 o'clock, he was going to be there at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, he opened the doors and closed the doors. He was always there. I mean, my goodness, if they'd have paid him $10 an hour, he would have died a multi-millionaire. You're in touch with so many of your former players. Just there are those deaths that when an Oliver Miller dies, obviously that's going to hurt the
the family, and,
Sure.
and that's what Nolan and Mike's teams were. I mean, you think about all those teams during Nolan's years, and then when Mike came back here for another close to 10 years, those they all kind of consider themselves part of a family. When Rose Richardson died a year ago, that was obviously something that hurt all of those players. This Dave England passing is one that's, I would say, just equally as impactful.
Oh, yes. Players were close with him, and you could depend on him. David England was consistent. It's just, my goodness, I think it was 69 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's way too young. Of course, I'm 66. So.
You told me a story yesterday about you had a player who was kind of dogging it in practice a little bit, said he was hurt. And
it was a real tough practice.
Take it from there.
Yeah, we'd come back from a loss. We didn't think we should lose. And no coach likes that. So we were going to bust out that practice, and we were going to put it on them pretty hard. And we had a walk-on. He can remain nameless, but he came up with a sprained ankle. David, and I was coaching the red team or the white team, whatever I was coaching. He said, that kid's living on the wrong ankle. And that kid was on the team I was coaching. I put him back in there. I said, play through it. Yeah. The limp went away right quick, and that kid finished practice.
You said that Dave came up with a pretty rigorous training schedule for you guys after one of the off seasons.
Yeah, we always put them through 2-a-days. We got up early in the morning. We lifted, we ran, we did everything we could do to be ready for the season. And he came up with the boot camp. And we did everything from lifting to running, sprints, distance, weights. Yeah. We got after it, and that's what he called it. Diamond called it. We always called him Diamond. He had a lot of nicknames. Somebody called him Pumpkin.
Yeah, apparently Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead.
I was talking to somebody the other day whose dad was a football player here, and he said that the football players all knew him as Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
There was a video that Dave England, when he retired, the Razorback Sports Network put together a video talking to him about his career. He said that Joe Klein always called him Blue. And he said he never could figure out why Joe Klein called him Blue until he figured out that the trainer that came before him, they called him Red. And so it was just kind of a progression. They just decided to call him Blue.
Yeah.
But Diamond Dave, those were the names that he was known best by.
What did Pags call him?
I didn't ask him that. I talked to Tom Pagnozzi. Tom Pagnozzi gave me a great story yesterday. He played, so Dave England was a trainer for the baseball team whenever Pagnozzi was here at Arkansas. And then while Pagnozzi was playing, Dave left Arkansas and went to the St. Louis Cardinals to be a trainer in their minor leagues. And as a quick aside, I was talking to Norm DeRyan yesterday. He told me, he said that had Dave England not come back to Arkansas, he probably would have been promoted to be the trainer for the big league Cardinals. The man who came behind him and replaced him after he came back to Arkansas did get that, eventually got that promotion up to the Cardinals big league team. But Pagnozzi went into the Cardinals system, so he had known Dave England at Arkansas, went into the Cardinals system, and he said that they had that connection. They're Razorbacks, and that was a big deal to them. He said he's getting taped one day, or he's in the training room for something, and Dave England was telling him about they had a daughter who was like 8 months, 9 months, maybe a year old.
Jennifer, yeah.
And he said that Dave told him, I haven't been on a date with my wife since we had the baby. And Tom Pagnozzi, who had just turned 21 years old, had never had any experience with a baby in his life, said, well, I'll babysit for you. And they took him up on it. And he said that baby turned out okay.
Oh, yeah, she surely did. Yeah, boy, those two girls, he's got another daughter by the name of Allison. Tough times for them, baby. Whoo, my goodness, I'm thinking about him, praying for him.
We're told that Dave's memorial service is going to be at Bud Walton Arena on Sunday, November 16th at 1 p.m. For those who want to be there. Wrote more about Dave England at our website. I would hope that you go there and read that story. Talk to Brad for it. Talk to Scotty Thurman, Tom Pagnozzi. And trust me, Brad, there were a lot of people who didn't get talked to who they would have been more than willing to talk about Dave England just because of how much he meant to him.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was going like, hey, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him. Hey, he's just one of those guys. He was magnetic. Mm-hmm. You knew what you were getting with Dave England. He wasn't all over the map. He was going to be on time. He was going to be organized. He was going to know what time we were playing golf. He was just there on time all the time. And, when you get a guy like that, it's just, man, and then you lose a guy like that way too early. My goodness, that's a loss. That leaves a hole in your life.
Is he a pretty good golfer?
Yes, he was a pretty good golfer. Probably about an 8 to 10 handicap. He loved it.
Let's talk a little bit basketball here while you're in here. I know you've been over and you've seen them practice. John Calipari's second team. Here they are. They're a good team. I mean, there's something, Brad. You can tell in the exhibition games when a team has it or when they may have it. And what I saw when they played Cincinnati and Memphis is they have it. I mean, it looks like they have it. Now we're going to see Saturday night just where they are when they play a good Michigan State team up there in East Lansing. But this looks like a really talented team, much better than I think the team that he had last year.
And I was talking to Bruiser, and Bruiser said, hey, we are more talented this year. So they are. I went over to their practice. There's a couple things that they've got to do, and they can do it if they adhere to team defense really hard, where we're going to stop you because there's offensive talent everywhere. They can score the basketball, and Cal's going to put them in sets and situations where they get good shots. Mm-hmm. But just everything is there. They've got the lateral quickness of the team athletically of our national championship team with Beck and McDaniel and those guys on the perimeter that could guard the ball. And when you can guard the ball and you can stop penetration and still check a guy's shot, that helps a lot of things. The biggest thing it does for it helps your offensive rebounding, and it keeps guys from getting in as much foul trouble when you can guard a person on the perimeter without getting taken to the cup where somebody's got to help. So they've got that. He's got the option showing some pressure defense too.
You and I were talking about Malik Thomas, and I've been so impressed with what I've seen from him in Acuff, the other freshman. He looks really good too. But Thomas, there's something about him and just the smoothness and obviously being a wing player. I told you that I wondered if there's been a freshman who's been in kind of that, that role, that position, who's been here at Arkansas since Joe Johnson, who's looked like Malik Thomas, and I don't know that there has been.
I can't think of one. He's beyond his years. His basketball IQ is high. Okay, he understands how to play, whether it's with the ball, without the ball, on defense. He gets it. I mean, that's a high. There's a lot of people that can play basketball, don't really understand everything that's going on. He understands what's going on, and I think a lot of his team does. I hope we've got the physical nature when we go against teams like Alabama, where they've got the aircraft carrier down there to 6'10 and 260, that we can bang with those guys, because it's going to get physical, because people are going to have to get physical with us because we might light that scoreboard up.
Talk to me about what is probably going on right now, just in terms of the team getting ready to take that first big road trip of the year. And not only that, but going into an arena, the Breslin Center, that is so well regarded. I mean, you took teams obviously to Rupp and the SEC, but you also went out to Arizona. You went to some big time arenas like that. Like, what is the feeling in the days leading up to those type of games?
Well, the kids are excited, and the thing is, as a coach, you prepare every day the same, whether you're playing a smaller Division I school or whether you're playing Michigan State. You want to make your preparation the same. That way, the players, when you play a team that you're better than and should beat by 20 or 30 points, they don't slack off, because if you're not ready to play when you show up for the game, you're not going to get ready at the game. The coach has got to get them ready in practice and get their focus on what it needs to be on. So, and this is a great test for us. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of team we should be playing. I mean, Tommy Izzo, Bill Self, Cal, and we all broke into the business at the same time. And Tommy Izzo's a great basketball coach. He really is. Not better than Cal. I mean, Cal's a hell of a basketball coach. But, I'll be glued to that. I've got a wonderful granddaughter, but I'm going to be in my man cave watching that one on TV.
That's Saturday night at 6:00, by the way, on Fox. Let's end with this: these early season games, when they're when they really are challenging themselves, whether it be this game, they play Louisville, Duke, Texas Tech, Houston. I mean, these are some really good non-conference games that they have. Winning games, obviously that's the objective, and you need some wins to help yourself and your resume when it comes tournament time. Is that the end-all be-all, though, or is there something about development and building toward the future with these type of games that is maybe equally as valuable to a coach?
Well, when you've got the name teams, the kids are going to be ready to play. they know Louisville, Houston. They know those are really good teams that you're going to be playing. Duke, they're going to be ready for those games. Cal doesn't drop the ball when they play a lower division school, a lower level of a Division I team. They work. I'm sure they're working on improving on this, whether it's whatever they're working on defense or offense. He's looking down the road. He's not talking about that game that's 7 or 10 days away. He's talking about the game that's 2 days away. But they're working on specific things during the game because I like the fact we got Wagner out there too. Wagner can play, and he's been around a little bit. Be nice to see how these young kids do at Michigan State.
First time they go and play in front of 16, 15,000 people. That's always kind of that's really the wild card this weekend, right?
Yeah, and they'll be fired up there. I think we'll do fine. Okay, like the Thomas kid, I think he'll be just fine up there. I don't think you're going to rattle him real easy. Yeah. Okay, I got to pay extra. I left my phone on.
Brad's got to take a call. Brad, we appreciate you being here.
It's all good, Matt. Sorry about that, man.
We appreciate Brad Dunn being with us. He works with us here at Hogs Illustrated. Always love having him in to talk basketball with us. Hope we see you again on our show tomorrow or at our website, wholehogsports.com. Thanks for being with us today. Have a great day, everybody.